You might be curious as to how long will you be at a specific duty station in the United States Army. And I will tell you that there is no set answer, but I can give you a good idea as to what to sort of expect in some scenarios. Let's say in this example, you got an option 19 when you joined the Army, which is allowing you to pick your first duty station. And in this example, let's say you picked Fort Carson, Colorado, right? So you may be curious, okay, I picked Fort Carson. I'm going to go to Fort Carson for my first duty station. How long will I be there before they may send me somewhere else? I can say that in most cases like this one, it's probably going to be a minimum of 12 months, right? You're at least going to be there for 12 months, most likely longer than that, because they don't want to spend a lot of effort of allowing this one soldier to go and get trained up with a unit on SOPs, on tactics and everything, or whatever the SOP, standard operating procedure, is for that specific unit, and then send them somewhere else and then have to go learn someone else's unit's tactics and SOPs and everything, and then bring someone else new and have to start all over with a new guy, right? So typically, they usually like to keep longevity within that unit to keep that continuity and keep those well-trained soldiers hopefully there with what works. So in that example, let's say you signed a 4-year contract. Well, there's a possibility you could end up spending all 4 years there, because then when you get to the end of that 4-year contract, or actually a year before that end of that 4-year contract, you're going to be eligible to re-enlist, which allows you to extend your contract to be in the Army even longer, right? You want to re-enlist for another 2 years, another 4 years, whatever the case is. Well, typically in that time frame, you'll also get an opportunity to choose your next duty station or the option to stay at your current duty station. It does all still kind of depend on availability, right? If you are trying to move and go somewhere else, then it has to have an available slot for you, right? In your MOS at your current rank type of thing. If there isn't an available position for you to go to at that location, then yeah, you can't get it. Same with staying there. I mean, you probably have a better chance of staying at your current location. So if you're trying to stay at a location for a longer time, then you can re-enlist to be able to stay at that location. There are some people I know that have stayed at one location because of these types of scenarios, where they stayed 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, whatever the case was, because they maybe re-enlisted to stay there. But there are other kind of situations where you may end up at a location for a shorter time period. Examples of that are typically overseas, right? If you're going to go to Korea or Germany, those are typically assigned timelines as far as how long you'd be stationed there. Not on a training rotation there, but actually stationed there if you get assigned there. Let's say like Korea. Korea is typically a 1-year assignment, but there are some cases now, especially where they're kind of changing things up, to make it a 2-year assignment. Especially with Germany. Germany is typically like a 2-year assignment. So typically with those kind of ones, that, hey, I'm going to be at this location for 1 year or 2 years. Maybe at the end of that time frame, or when it's getting close to that time frame, you may have an opportunity to extend if you want to stay there longer sometimes. But otherwise, you probably know that, hey, I'm going to be here for 1 year, I'm going to be here for 2 years, and then I'm going to be sent somewhere else. Sometimes you get to pick where that next location is going to be. Sometimes you get stuck with needs of the Army. Now, is that a guaranteed timeline? No, it's not. There are things that come about where, a specific unit, a specific location is really short on MOS, and we know that there's a lot of individuals in that MOS at this location, so they're going to start stealing from that location to bring them to this location where they're really shorthanded. And that could cause you being in a situation where you're at location A for maybe a year, maybe 2 years, and then you come up on orders, which is like the term you come upon when they send you a notification to say that you're going to be receiving orders to go to another location. So maybe you receive those orders saying, hey, you need to go here. You have maybe like a month or 2 months before that's going to happen, to start kind of doing some out processing and doing some things to kind of close out at your current location before you're going to be sent to this other location. So it does vary. There are situations where you could be at one location for a long time. There are situations where you could get sent to another location after only being here for X amount of time, right? Or you could do that option, like I said, to re-enlist for another location, right? Maybe you signed up for Fort Carson and Fort Carson wasn't quite what you thought it was, and now you want to go somewhere else, and now you're in that re-enlistment window and you can actually choose where to go because you're going to re-enlist and you're going to stay in the Army for another 4 years, and you're looking at your options. Well, if you're looking at your options to try to figure out like where you want to go next, I do have a video right here you can go check out that's the most popular requested locations, right? Pretty surprising ones in there. So if you want to know what are the most requested ones as of a recent study, check that video out. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that thumbs up. I'm Christopher Chaos. I'll see you next time. See ya.